Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon to our friends and our beloved lecturer Dr. Ani. So thank you to Nakib. I will continue the presentation. Before I start, I will introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Ashrafatullah bin Muhammad Isa and I will continue this presentation with the stages of memory. Actually, there are 3 stages of memory, which is first, sensory memory, second, short-term memory, and lastly, long-term memory. So we're gonna look one by one. What is the sensory memory for the first? Sensory memory holds the representation of sensory input for a brief period of time. So most of the information that enter our sensory register is lost because we do not attend to all that is register. Whatever we attend to move on the next stage of memory. So macam ni. Contohnya kalau kita tengok tapi kita tak fokus benda tu. So benda tu akan jadi short term memory. Kalau kita fokus, kita tengok benda tu, dia akan jadi long term memory. Itu contoh mudah untuk sensory memory ni. Okay. So we gonna move to the short-term memory. As we know, short-term memory adalah benda yang singkat kita ingat, which is the function is continuous processing of information where information is actively worked on. Contoh macam kita sekarang ni tengah tengok. Kita tengok sensory memory, short-term memory, long-term memory. Kalau saya tanya kamu, apa itu type of memory, ada sebilangan daripada kita tak dapat ingat sebab dia akan tengok benda tu. Dia akan ingat certain. Dia tak dapat ingat semua jenis-jenis type of memory tu. So dia akan jadi short term. Kita tengok from the sensory. Kita tengok daripada mata, kita tengok slide. So ada benda kita ingat, ada benda kita tak ingat. Kalau ingat pun ada beberapa masa kita tengok tu kita ingat. Oh, contoh dalam slide type of memory ada implicit memory, ada procedural memory, but benda tu sensory, kita tengok, sebab tu kita ingat short term. So short term ni dia punya capacity dia limited. Kadang bila kita dah hafal kita ingat, bila kita dah keluarkan balik tu kita lupa. Ini short term memory. Okay, for the short term memory ni, kalau kita nak hafal, asal kita nak ingat, kita kena repeat lah benda tu. Kita tengok, kita kena baca balik semula. So benda tu kita akan tengok pada slide akan datang. So now we gonna move to the long term memory. What is long term memory? Long term memory is one information passes from sensory to working memory. It can be encoded into long term memory. Maksudnya kita tengok benda tu, contoh kita ingat stages of memory ni kita tahu ada 3. So kalau kita dapat faham, kita rasa benda ni, input ni penting, otak kita akan encode benda ni and dia akan jadi long term memory. Kita akan ingat stages of memory ni ada 3, which is sensory, short term and long term. So untuk long term memory ni, function dia is organize and store information, which is more passive from form of a storage than working memory. Maksudnya dia akan ingat lah. Contoh, long term memory ni paling mudah bila kita mengalaminya benda tu. Macam mana? Kita jatuh, kita rasa sakit. Dalam memori kita, okay, akan ingat. Jatuh, akan ada rasa sakit. Macam tu. So, long term memory ni, dia punya capacity is unlimited. Because banyak benda kita boleh ingat. Contoh, nombor telefon. Sebab benda tu penting, kita rasa benda tu kita akan guna banyak kali, dia akan jadi long term memory. Nombor telefon, alamat rumah kita. Lagi, kalau kita bersukan, skill, how to dribble, how to kick, how to stop the ball, benda tu akan jadi long term memory. Maksudnya kita tahu step tu macam mana, nak stop bola tu macam mana, nak passing tu nak guna belah dalam ataupun belah luar. Kalau kita, benda tu jadi long term memory sebab kita selalu guna. Okay, that's for long term memory. Okay, dalam long term memory ni, encoding process that control movement from working to long term memory store. Maksud macam saya cakap tadi lah, contoh kita bermain bola, kita nak passing ataupun kita nak ambil free kick, macam mana kita nak buat? Kita nak sepak sekuat hati ataupun kita nak buat knuckleball. So benda tu ada kat dalam memori kita, macam mana teknik kita nak buat. So bila kita nak keluar tu, maksudnya retrieval process that controls flow information from long term to working memory store. Okay, itu untuk long term memory. Okay, now we gonna move to the next slide. So now we gonna present about strategies or method of memories. Actually, in this of strategies of memory or method of memory, there are 9. So we gonna look one by one, which is first we gonna use a whole method. Under this method, the whole subject method is learned at a time. Under this method, the lesson is read from the beginning to the end, and this method is quite useful for smaller lesson. Okay, I will give the easy example. Contohnya, kita belajar satu subjek. Contoh subjek kita belajar sekarang ni, apply motor learning in physical education. Contoh chapter 1, kita belajar terus satu chapter tu sebab dia kecil kan, dia dah kecil, kita terus baca je, kita baca ulang kali untuk hafal chapter 1. Dalam chapter 1 tu ada apa. Okay, itu kata mudahnya. Next, we gonna move to the second point is part method. Part method, here the subject matter is divided into separate part. Okay, as example, kita belajar subjek kita sekarang ni, kan ada chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So kita divide part by part. So senang kita untuk menghafal benda tu. Okay, for the third is break or interval method. Here the subject matter is learned by taking interval. Learning things over long time continuously may weaken memory. It relax the mind and reduce learning. So macam ni. Contoh kita dah belajar satu jam, 2 jam. Benda tu kalau kita belajar, kita tak rehat, dia akan makin melemahkan memori kita. So untuk lagi efisien, kita study 10 minit, kita take 5. Ataupun kita study 15 minit ke 20 minit, dan kita take 5, dan kita continue balik. So benda tu akan membuatkan kita rasa tak bosan, satu, and otak kita tak penat sangat sebab kita selang-seli, kita ada relax dalam otak kita. Okay, for the fourth point is the continuous method. Under this method, the whole subject matter is memorized in one sitting without giving a break in between. This method is effective for immediate memory. Contoh macam kita nak exam, kita nak final, kita akan try read satu chapter terus. Sebab kita nak cepat. Benda tu senang cerita untuk kita nak guna sekejap je. Kita hafal sekejap. Macam tu continuous method ni. Then now kita dekat active method. What is active method? Under this method, the subject matter is memorized by speaking loudly. This method is more beneficial for children. Okay, contoh kita nak menghafal ayat atau menghafal apa benda yang kita nak cakap time kita presentation. Benda ni adalah sangat efisien. Contoh kita cakap kuat-kuat, kita cakap depan cermin, kita cakap, apa benda. So benda tu lagi membuatkan kita lagi cepat untuk menghafal benda tu. And then passive method. Under this method, the subject matter is learned silently. For the passive method ni, kita belajar, bukan belajar tu secara senyap. Maksudnya kita memerhatikan, kita still keep belajar benda tu. So supaya kita lagi mudah faham mengenai subjek yang kita nak belajar tu. And then, okay, this point is association method. Here the subject matter is correlated to any other important subject matter, by which there are less chance of forgetting the subject matter. Okay, untuk association method ni kita kaitkan dengan benda yang kita dah belajar. Okay, untuk memudahkan, contoh kita nak belajar teknik sepak bola, kita belajar knuckleball. Okay, untuk relatekan knuckleball dengan sepak biasa maksudnya kita rembat ke, kita ambil free kick ke. Sepak biasa, placing kita guna inside foot. But when we wanna do the knuckleball, we use the outside foot. So benda tu related. Related. So that is association method. So next, we gonna move to the learning by activity. So learning by the activity, which is the subject matter is learned through an activity by which all sense of the child become active and it help to memorize easily and conveniently. Okay, kadang-kadang kita belajar, kita just tengok kepada teori, kita susah nak ingat. Contohnya macam dalam subjek kita belajar sekarang ni, kita ambil method of kita nak mengajar orang. Adakah kita guna student centered or teacher centered. So bila kita dah ingat, kalau kita nak buat student centered, kita akan buat ramai-ramai. Maksudnya kita sebagai guru, kita akan biarkan pelajar tu buat sendiri untuk dia orang refer kawan-kawan dia orang. Kalau teacher centered, cikgu akan mengajar dan budak-budak perlu mendengar arahan cikgu. So benda tu lah learning by activity. So untuk kita mudahkan, atau kita ingat, atau kita faham benda tu. And lastly is repetition method. Here the subject is repeat at the end of the lesson. Generally the more time given to repeat of a subject, the more is memorized. Maksudnya kita ulang balik apa yang kita dah belajar. Kita ulang sampai kita ingat. Now we're gonna move to the factors that influencing memory. There are 6 factors that can influencing our memory, which is first, physical and mental health. A physical and mentally healthy individual can learn a new topic soon. Disease body and mind weaken our memory. As we know, kalau kita tak sihat, so susah kita nak belajar, kita nak adapt kita punya tajuk baru ataupun subjek baru. Next, motivation. Motivation occupies a very prominent place in memory. Motivation makes a difficult task easy. Maksudnya, contohnya kalau kita ada motivasi yang bagus, so kita nak belajar benda baru, kita nak faham benda baru, kita nak ingat benda baru, lebih mudah. For the third point is desire to learn. Desire or curiosity to learn also influence on memory. No task can be accomplished by pressure. So macam kita nak belajar tu lah, kalau kita belajar secara sukarela, benda tu lebih mudah untuk kita adapt, kita faham, kita hafal. Contoh kalau kita dipaksa untuk belajar sebab tak ada minat, so benda tu akan kacau kita punya emotional. So benda tu akan mengganggu lah kita punya factors memory tu. And then for the fourth point is subject matter. If the subject matter is simple, clear, interesting and useful, it's easy to us to memorize the subject or the matter. Contohnya macam kita nak belajar sesuatu, kita belajar daripada simple to complex. Kalau kita terus belajar ke complex saja, susah untuk kita adapt atau kita faham benda tu. Lagi kita nak mengingat benda tu sebab kita tak ada basics. At least when we have a basics, which is from the simple to complex, easy to us to understand. And then method of learning. The method of learning has influence on memory. If the method suitable to the subject is not adapted, the children never learn or memorize it. So macam kita nak belajar, cara kita belajar. Contoh ada seseorang dia lebih mudah belajar mengenai teori saja, tapi ada orang lebih mudah belajar dia doing practical, dia buat benda tu, so dia lagi mudah faham. Bila dia buat benda tu, dia mudah faham lagi lah, dan dia lebih cepat untuk dapat mengingat subjek tu. Last not least is testing. So testing ni maksudnya test. Kita uji diri kita untuk ingat benda tu. Kalau kita tak uji, so kita tak tahu kita mengingati ataupun tidak subjek tu. So that's all for the factors of influencing memory. Jika ada apa-apa masalah atau ketidakfaham, nanti at the end of this presentation, kamu boleh bertanya. So I will let you guys to Fahmi to continue his presentation about forgetting. That's all for me. Thank you.